Hello everybody, this is Manveen and today we are going to look at problem number 48, rotate image on Leetcode. And this has been given a tag of medium, but it is a pretty easy problem if you understand the logic behind it. It will be very easy to code once you do that. You are given an end-to-end 2D matrix representing an image. Rotate the image by 90 degrees. So you have to do this in the clockwise direction. Clockwise is basically from the left hand side towards the right hand side. So you have to rotate the image in place. In place का मतलब होता है कि you cannot create additional space for a second matrix. As an example, we have this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 1, 2, 3 is a row, 1, 4, 7 is a column. So all the vertical ones are the columns, the horizontal ones are the rows. So there are two steps to be followed in this lead code problem. The first one would be to find the transpose of the matrix, and the second one would be to flip all the rows horizontally. Now let's see what this means. So according to the left hand side example, we've been given the matrix 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8, and 9. As I had mentioned, we need to convert all the rows into the columns and the columns into the rows. That is known as the transpose of the matrix, and that would be our first step towards solving this problem. So 1, 2, 3 is the first row and it would be converted into the first column in the transpose. And then 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8, 9 would be converted into the second and the third columns respectively. So this is how our final transpose would look like. So as you can see, 1, 2, 3 is the first row here. It has been converted into the first column. 4, 5, 6 has been converted into the second column, and so on and so forth. But if you look at the example on the left hand side of the screen, you will see that it is still not the correct answer because 147 and the answer over here is 741. So it is the reverse. So our first step was to first find the transpose of the matrix. Now the second step is to flip all the rows horizontally. If you flip all the above rows horizontally, this is what you're going to get. 7, 4, 1, 8, 5, 2, and 9, 6, and 3. So we have got the answer. So the two steps that we saw were, first, we need to convert the matrix into its transpose, and the second step is to flip all the rows horizontally. Now the coding part becomes very simple because transpose of a matrix is something that's taught during the beginning stages, and flipping the rows horizontally is not a daunting task as well. Let's try solving the problem now. Firstly, let's declare a variable called int n, and this will be given the value matrix dot length. This signifies the length of the rows. So that means n is going to store the value 3. If we have the input as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, we have an n to n matrix. So our value of n would be 3 over here. So we're going to now create a nested for loop in order to find the transpose of the matrix. So I have two for loops over here. The outer for loop has I is equal to 0, I is less than the length of the matrix I plus plus, and the inner for loop takes 1 greater than the value of I. Okay, so now inside the nested for loop, we are going to declare a variable int temp, which is going to store the value of matrix ij. If you're familiar with this format, these three steps are used to interchange two values. So int temp will maintain the value of matrix ij, and matrix ij will now have the value of matrix ji. So your rows will get converted to columns and your columns will get converted to rows. So this is how you're going to create the transpose of the matrix. So I had explained that after you create the transpose of the matrix, you get 147 and not 741. So you have to flip it horizontally. And in order to do that, we will create another for loop like this. We are now creating a for loop inside of which we have two variables, start and end. Start represents the first element in the row, maybe 7, and then we have end that represents the last element in the row, that is 1. So we need to flip this. We need to bring 1 to the 0th position and 7 to the n minus 1th position. We are doing this inside a while loop, and the condition is that start will always be less than end. Now we are again declaring a variable int temp. First begin from I as the 0th position and matrix I and start. So both are 0 comma 0. So it is going to store 7 over here. So over here, the value at the temp variable stores matrix I start. So I will be constant because you are looking at a single row at a time. Only the value of start will change because start has to range from 0, 1, 2. And then you are replacing the start variable with the end one. The end one is 1. Inside the variable temp, you're going to store 7, and inside the start matrix I start, you're going to store the value which is there at the end, that is 1. So you're flipping the row. Now you're again storing the value of end as temp. Temp was 7. So the row has been horizontally flipped. So at the end of the while loop, you're going to increment and decrement the value of start and end respectively. You're doing so because you want to iterate throughout the row. So the start variable is going to make your pointer iterate from 7, 4, 1, and end is going to make your pointer iterate from 1, 4, 7, keeping in mind that the value of end will always be greater than the value of start. So this is how the program is done. Now we are going to run it once to check if there are any mistakes. Yeah, as you can see, the case has been accepted. Now we're going to submit the solution to check the hidden test cases as well. Yeah, so as you can see, this is the correct solution. So there are two things I have done here. Firstly, I have converted the matrix into its transpose, and after that, I have done a similar process where I have flipped all the rows horizontally. So this is how this program is done. Thank you.